close the record.
I told you.
And you're good to go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Trash Pandas. I am your host, Lindsay, and this is
Lauren.
my lovely co-host, Lauren.
Hi,
in case you didn't hear that. Today we're covering HBO's documentary, The Vow, and I think we're just going to dive straight in because there is so much to cover, so much wildness that happened
For real.
in this documentary. So ready?
I'm ready.
Buckle up, baby. All right. The first episode, The Science of Joy.
The Science of Joy. I love the names that they have for these episodes, first and foremost.
It's nauseating.
I know.
Just to hear that is nauseating. The Science of Joy.
So
I'm already not interested.
already don't want to do it. Literally hating life. So it starts out with Keith, and he is describing ESP, Nexium, as a methodology that allows people to optimize their experience and behavior.
Yep. And so ESP stands for Executive Success Programs, kind of to be marketed towards the business world, but they want everyone. They don't really care. They're
Literally
like,
anybody.
they're like, this can help you in any arena of life.
They're like, hey, do you like cults?
Yeah.
Come be part of ours.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah. So the first person that we meet who's a major player in this documentary, Mark Vicente, he is the director of What the Bleep Do We Know, which is a documentary, and I guess a fairly successful documentary, although I had never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
I know.
Oh, okay. I had most definitely heard of it.
I had never heard of this documentary before.
Oh
so
my gosh. Okay.
It's a fairly successful documentary,
Yep.
one of the second highest grossing of all time, which is super interesting. So anyways, Mark Vicente. And then the other major player in this is Sarah Edmondson, who she's kind of just like a struggling actress. She was in a bunch of like D-list, or as Lauren said earlier, Z-list.
Z-list. Yeah, like non-existent.
Movies and TV shows. There are two main characters or key players, I should say.
Yeah.
They're not characters because this is a documentary. This is real life.
Real life.
These
are actual people.
This is the real life. So,
what is it? So basically, Sarah, she goes to her first meeting.
Yeah. She goes, like this 5-day training program that they have, which is basically how they suck you in. And
definitely. She thinks it's weird. She actually says to Mark, like, what the fuck have you gotten me into? But he asked her to just give it a try. Like, I think he says to her, like, oh yeah, just give it like 3 days or something. And she keeps on going. And after the 3 days, she's even like, okay, well, I'll give it a couple more days. And like the way that these people talk about their experience in this is very like uplifting. They seem like very like proud and happy to be like experiencing this stuff. That's one of the things that they offer a peak experience.
Yeah, they all drank the Kool-Aid eventually at some point in that 5-day experience. So Mark and Sarah knew each other because they met like on this cruise, and she had a cough or something, and Mark was like, what would you lose if you
weren't coughing anymore,
or you weren't sick anymore? And she was like kind of like taken back by it, but then like realized that maybe she was like sick all the time for attention.
Yeah, though they don't really go into too much detail on how they get to that, like in that part of the episode.
Yeah,
I don't feel like they spend a lot of time being like, oh, this is why he said that.
Right.
But she was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely just looking for attention, and I instantly got better as soon as I knew that.
She did. She's like, I instantly stopped being sick
and
after
I'm like,
he had framed this question in this way. And so that's why she signed up for this 5-day training that she goes to. So anyways, Sarah is explaining the 5 days, and she's talking about how, like, when they introduce it, they show one of the head of NXIVM, which is Nancy Salzman. And she's describing like these videos of Nancy Salzman as like really awful 80s like training videos. Yeah.
And welcome to NXIVM.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of stuff.
And like, yeah. And like Nancy just looks really outdated. And like the whole time Sarah's sitting there like, what the hell did I just get into? Like, this is ridiculous.
And she says that she kept staring at her eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I was like, same. Get you a YouTube, girl. You need to figure that shit out.
So one of the things that they preach in this 5-day training is they keep telling people that you're going to be uncomfortable, but that's where growth happens. And we kind of see this is a theme through their cult. This is what they keep preaching is being uncomfortable means you're growing. And that gets way more evident later on.
Yes.
In the cult, but they already start like planting these seeds in that 5-day training where it's like, get out of your comfort zone. You're not going to be comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're not growing, you're satiating.
And how crazy is that?
Yeah,
because,
and I wrote like, this is brainwashing. This is like a classic brainwashing 101. They're already planting these seeds to be uncomfortable. You're going to be exposed to things that make you uncomfortable. But if we didn't do that, that means you aren't growing as a human being.
One thing that I did notice that they had said was that they really liked it because they didn't feel like they were being brainwashed or that it felt like a cult. It was more or less like the science behind life. Yeah. And it felt like just talking with your friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's okay. I can see how like that would be intriguing for somebody when they're like, I don't feel like I'm being told about, you know, Xenu, the alien who comes and, you know, right. Whatever. It's like an emotional experience.
It's a lot of self-help.
It's self-help, exactly.
And a lot of like talk therapy almost in a way, but like really messed up talk therapy. So we find out like Keith Raniere, he's the head of NXIVM. He is known as the Vanguard. They call him the Vanguard. And Nancy Salzman, who is like the number 2, is known as the prefect. And then they go into talking about the sashes that they wear. So these sashes serve as like a ranking system. And they symbolize like where you are in your journey in NXIVM. And so like they said like Keith wears a white sash because that symbolizes he's a student, because he looks at himself as a student for life. So philosophical, Keith.
I know, right?
God, I love it. And then, you know, there's different colors of these sashes that they wear that symbolize where they are in the group.
So I actually have them written down, at least the ones that they showed us.
Ooh,
so
perfect.
The stripe path, white equals student, yellow is a coach, orange is a proctor, and green is a senior proctor. So the more like classes and people that you sign up and like how many people you basically are like getting to come to this cult means that you have like leveled up, so to speak, and you know more. And so you like can get like the sashes all come in different colors, but then they come in stripes. It's called the stripe path. So it's like you have the yellow sash and then you have yellow with 1 stripe. And I think each one goes up to 3 stripes or something. And I know that they also mentioned at one point that it was like Keith was like into like kung fu, and it's very
judo,
jujitsu or something like that, where it's like he has had experience with like the belts and the different colored belts.
He
and
is
the striped
a black belt.
He is okay, but
because seriously, look at him.
We can get into a whole other thing about how that shit's not real.
So day 3, Sarah explains that she kind of has this breakthrough, and this module of self-help that day in this training is centered around what is self-esteem. And their definition is it's a range of options you have in a given circumstance. So basically, people can't see their options because they're limiting beliefs, or their, what they call it in NXIVM is their disintegrations. And then that's when they introduced ESP, which ESP is a tool to integrate your disintegrations to become a more unified person. This sounds really complicated, but basically it's like whatever you believe is holding you back in life is bullshit, and it's something that you need to like get over. It's like rooted in some fear.
It's something that you're doing to yourself.
Yeah, and you need to like get over that limiting belief, and once you get over that limiting belief, then you integrate it.
Right.
And this was kind of a breakthrough for her, and she explains it's because, you know, she was like the struggling actress, so she had a lot of self-esteem issues about, you know, like working and living in Hollywood. Like she dealt with a lot of rejection.
Exactly. If you're like rejected for roles and stuff left and right, that can be really hard on someone.
Yeah. So she said like her self-esteem was suffering at that point. So this is where like the training really kind of like sucked her in to where she was like, oh, this could be a useful tool in my life, like to help me get over my self-esteem issues and to help me stop seeing these limiting beliefs.
Right.
So then Mark kind of talks about how he was lured into the cult. And
another thing that like that's kind of just part of that during this time that Mark and Sarah, and coming up in just a minute you'll see Bonnie as well, whenever they are talking about this experience that they had, they seem like when they're reminiscing about it now, they're still like smiling and saying, you know, like I felt very rewarded, and I felt like I was helping people. And I believe that in the beginning, that's really what was supposed to be happening. Like I was under the impression that like they really felt like they weren't being like taken advantage of or anything like that, and they felt rewarded by what they were doing.
I definitely think that they all initially came from like a good place. Well, and they all really did want to change the world, and they wanted to change themselves and help people.
We know ahead of time, every single one of them, when they start out, are saying like, when I joined, I was in a place of transition, or I was, you know, feeling like I could do more, or I could do better, or I could be greater. And it's like this, like they're all very successful people and stuff, or like they were like capable people. And I don't know how to like describe that, but it just feels like it's like even now looking back on it, they're like, I felt like I was actually doing something good in this time.
I think that you're right. Like they are all very capable people, but I think like they all felt a certain amount of what's my purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. They were all vulnerable.
Yeah, and I need to fulfill it more.
They were looking for something more in life.
Yeah. So Mark Vicente, the guy who did What the Bleep Do We Know? He kind of talks about how he was lured in by Nancy Salzman and Barbara Boucher. We'll talk more about Barbara Boucher later, but she is one of like the top sales people within NXIVM. And you know, he said that like really when he got into it, he realized it was like an idyllic society, and like everyone was so kind to each other and everyone was rooting for each other, and
it's like you feel like you have an entire community.
Yeah, you have like this
it's like a sense of family.
Yeah, like this sense of community, and like all these people are like willing to drop whatever they're doing to help you, with whatever like bullshit you need to work through. And I remember there was this part where Mark was talking about like he went to Nancy Salzman's office and he was like, all right, what's the catch? Like, nobody's this fucking happy. Nobody is this supportive of one another.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I loved this part.
What's the catch? And Nancy looked at him and kind of like Jedi mind tricked him and was like, well, what is it in you that makes you think there's a catch?
It's like
why are you looking for something?
You're looking for,
and that's one of their big things is like, you aren't the victim. You need to snap out of that mentality that you think you're the victim. You're not the victim. You have total control over every situation, every emotion, every reaction. You have control of it. And that's something that they preach, and we'll get way more into that. But she like mind tricked them and was like, maybe it's you. Maybe you're looking for a reason.
And I think that she even says, and what if it's not?
Right.
What if it's not some big scam?
Right.
And
like,
what if it's not a cult, basically? Like, what if you're wrong and all these things that you're doing to stop this?
It's like self-sabotage.
Right. You're just sabotaging.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like the way, you know, even when you're watching it, you get like this sense of like, I can see how somebody would fall into it. I would not fall into that. However, I mean, I can't say
I could not
ever
self-help myself as much as I want to fucking self-help my fucking self. Like, I am like,
I can't help myself at all.
Dude, like, I am like the antithesis of what they're looking for.
Right.
Like, I'm that bitch that's gonna be like, what? No, I plan on being hungover tomorrow. And no, I'm not a victim.
The worst part is she said that before. You've literally said, I plan on being hungover tomorrow.
I have said that. I plan on being in pain tomorrow. Let me wallow. Let me wallow, bitch.
I love it.
Feelings are good.
Yeah, feelings are good. Even when they're bad, they're good.
And that's like one major part of their cult is like, you don't feel things.
Right.
You don't
you have control of the feeling that it's like no matter what is happening, you can feel like total satisfaction at all times.
There's even a part, we'll get to it. Oh, it's not till episode 4, but I want to talk about it now because it's so relevant. It's like the part where Allison Mack is grieving the death of Pam.
Oh, yes.
Of one of the women in their group. She had died of cancer and she starts crying and she gets choked up and she's like, yeah, I'm not in control of my emotions. Yeah, I'm sorry. And it's like, girl,
it's okay to be upset.
It's okay to cry over somebody dying.
Oh my God.
But like, that's how like controlled they expect you to be.
To the point where you have to like apologize for
crying over somebody's death.
Someone. Right.
Like, it's
oh my God. How
mind-boggling. So then Mark goes and tells us about rational inquiry, which is basically this technology that Keith Raniere developed. He filed a patent in the patent office it's actually filed under artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. And so basically what this is like, this is rational inquiry. And then there's like all of these little like shoots off of rational inquiry. And one of them is EM, which is exploration of meaning. And they talk about EMing each other. They EM. They are always looking for exploration of meaning. And it's designed to address the fear behind a belief you hold. And so he was basically sold after Nancy Salzman EM'd him about panic attacks on a freeway. So he explained, so Nancy Salzman was like, all right, tell me one of your fears. And he was like, all right, every time I'm on the freeway, I have a panic attack about being in traffic, about being in a car accident, whatever. So she EM'd him. And what that means is like they got to the root of his fear and then they worked past that. And they were like, okay, you have this fear. Why do you have this fear? Is it rational? Like,
and how do we make it stop?
Yeah. Basically. And like, basically, how do you control it? Can you control your response to that fear? and it sounds great. Like, it sounds like a great tool for like getting over phobias and shit.
Right.
Like, this actually does sound super interesting. But so Mark said, like, the next time he was like, I was sitting in traffic in LA and I would normally be experiencing like panic and like all this fear about like sitting in this traffic. And after I had that EM session with Nancy Salzman, nothing. I had no kind of reaction to it. And I couldn't dig up that feeling again. Like, I could not find that panic, like, to feel that way again. Like, I was over it. Like, I seemed to be completely cured of this fear. So that's what EMing is like.
And it sounds so
It sounds amazing.
It sounds, because I definitely
Oh my God, I
suffer from
have
anxiety
so many phobias.
and phobias.
Yes.
And like one of them actually is kind of related to that. Like, and okay, so I already have a fear of tornadoes for some crazy reason. I get really bad anxiety when I'm like driving, specifically in like heavy storms that I think might turn into a tornado irrationally, right? But there was one time that I was stuck in traffic and there was this cloud above me that I could have swore was going to become a tornado. And imagine being like at a dead stop, like miles away from an exit, and you are like convinced that you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if I could stop that. And when I watched this, I watched that segment, I was like, oh my God, like I have been in a situation where like I want to like stop that anxiety, you know.
Can I EM you after?
Oh my God, please EM me.
Okay,
I'm gonna look at you all like loving and
like
smile.
Allison, Mack, to Keith Raniere. Okay, so basically he equated like being a part of this group and EMing and all of this was like being high without drugs. Like, you were just getting over any fear, any insecurity, any trauma, any negative feeling you've ever had. You are getting over this with these EM sessions. So
basically talking it through.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
they're like talking sessions.
Yeah, they're talking. I don't know, but they're also like telling you to repress like any feeling.
Sure.
But they're also telling you, which we'll get into, which is so interesting, is like your intuition is not correct.
Right.
And I so disagree with that. Like, I'm all about intuition and I'm all about like, I get a feeling from you. You're a bad person.
Time to go.
Time to go. And they're all about repressing that feeling of intuition. We'll talk more about that. So, on to Keith.
All right.
So, Keith Raniere, they push the fact that Keith is a genius. He holds the second or third highest score on some bullshit IQ test.
Probably like just like one that you can Google.
That's it. That's in the Guinness Book of World Records. I actually did some reading about this, and there's like a lot of criticism about this test.
Okay.
Not being like
probably something you can Google.
Yeah, like a real like validated test. So anyways, they tell everyone that comes in, Keith is a genius. He's like this problem solver of the world.
Like a prodigy even. Like,
yeah.
He can play classical piano.
Oh, he was a concert classical pianist. Right. He was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like he's
just like a savant of all things.
He could like read when he was 2 years old and like all this crazy stuff they tell people to just like believe he is like some sort of demigod. Mm-hmm. So I just want to address a little about Keith Raniere's past. Keith Raniere was associated with Amway in the 80s, which is a multi-level marketing scheme. After he was fired from Amway, he started his own MLM, multi-level marketing group, in the early 90s. It was then investigated by the FBI in the 90s and shut down. Dude loves an MLM. And if you don't know what an MLM is, do you want to explain what an MLM is?
So an MLM is a multi-level marketing.
Mhm.
And okay, so if you don't know what this means, then you may have been exposed to one at some point and you have no clue. Okay, so things like It Works, or things like Thrive, things like what's that other one? Party Light, Pampered Chef.
The sex toy one.
Oh yeah, what's that one?
There's a sex toy.
Pure Romance.
Pure Romance.
Okay,
yeah.
so here's the thing, is that we in no way are saying that this is not something you can be successful at, because there are people that are successful at it. And I actually know people personally who are part of multi-level marketing and they are good at it. But that by no means means that this is a common thing.
No, I would say that your chances at making a true living off of something like these are
Right.
very slim. It is set up so that not everyone makes an excellent living
I
off
have
of it.
seen people do really well at theirs, and that's great.
I mean,
I'm not saying
when we were
but it's just
discussing
normal, like, you
Shanann
don't-
Watts,
exactly.
Shanann
Thrive.
Watts
She did
was-
Thrive. Level.
she
Level.
got a Lexus
Yes.
from doing an MLM. So like, okay.
Okay.
Do you, I'm going to say be careful, don't join an MLM, because
Most people will not be very successful in MLM.
most of it is like buying your own product. Like you're
right.
buying your own product.
It's you
on a
having
constant
extra
basis.
stuff
Yeah.
for when you sell it.
There's actually a podcast. It's like, sounds like an MLM, but okay. That's the name of the podcast.
I kind of want to listen to that.
And they cover different MLMs. And, you know, when an MLM goes under, people are left with massive amounts of product.
Yeah, inventory
And-
for days.
Right. And that's all
Like
money.
LuLaRoe.
Yeah.
LuLaRoe is like one of them, or LuLaRoe, I don't know how you
Yeah.
pronounce it, but it was one
Yeah.
of them where like people were getting product
Yeah.
that was like moldy
Yeah.
and sopping wet.
Ew.
And like couldn't get it back to a warehouse and had
Yeah.
to just hold on to the product.
Yeah.
And like there's so many things that could go wrong. I'm not trying to like say anything about people who do that, because I do know people, but at the same time,
Be
be wary of what you do. And if you don't have the time to be live all the time and show people the product and do what has to be done in order for to have that, you shouldn't be doing
I
it.
feel like mostly it's like people preying. I feel like MLM is like super skeevy and they prey on people.
Most definitely.
That was Lauren screaming from the bathroom.
They do prey on
But they
people,
prey
though.
on people to like join. And it's super shady. But having that in mind, that Keith was deeply involved with these MLMs kind of gives you the outline for what Nexium is and what DOS is, which we'll talk about DOS in a minute. But Nexium, this group, is basically an MLM for self-help. That's all it is. That's when they talk about the Stripe path, which Lauren kind of already went over, but working the Stripe path meant that you were taking classes, so you were paying to take these classes through Nexium. You were enrolling recruits, so you were getting people in to take these and pay for these classes. And you were getting rid of disintegrations by EMing. And EMing is not free. You pay your coach
Sounds
to
like
EM
Scientology.
you. It's like, this is my analogy, was like, it's like any MLM where they're like, you've reached diamond status or whatever status you reach. That's you earning stripes is like the diamond status or
Right.
whatever it is, moving up in the company. So he basically set up this company with a total like MLM business model. When they were in it, they really viewed this as helping people, and they were symbols of growth, which we already talked about. Is like Sarah like talked about like those sashes, is like in the beginning she thought they were really stupid, but like once she had really bought into it, she looked at those sashes as like this is my growth.
Yeah.
And this is like a symbol of what I've overcome.
This is what I've done. Yeah.
And this is what I've
How
done.
many people I've helped.
Yeah. So you can see why people would stay in it if they've really bought into this idea that they're helping people and that they've helped themselves, that this stripe thing was like a badge of honor. Like I made it through all these things and I've helped all these people, and whatever. I don't know. I
just like being
just not.
It's like it's the same as getting a yellow belt and a black belt and a whatever.
So then we see that Mark Vicente, his relationship with Bonnie. So Mark met this actress. She was in Star Wars. She was a musician, singer, songwriter. He met Bonnie, and when he met her, she was ready to give up music at the time, and Mark's like, give me 5 days. And this is how she gets sucked into the call, basically 5-day training, just like Sarah. And so she goes and she does the 5-day training, and she's basically sucked in. We'll talk more about her story later because she had some reservations in the beginning, but Mark and Bonnie end up getting married, and that's going to come into play a lot later.
So what I have down is that Bonnie was also in a place of transition mentally and emotionally in life, and that she was trying to like get out of that. I also wrote down that these people all seem to talk about their experience like it wasn't that bad. And then she ended up going on to be a coach and an EMP within a week of her joining She Meets Keith. And Mark, and then we get into Mark. They kind of just transitions right into a guy named Mark. I don't have his last name written down.
Oh yeah, the Tourette's thing.
Yes.
Okay.
And he has Tourette's. And so our Mark, the first Mark Vicente, starts to film My Tourette's, which is basically like a documentary that they were trying to do about attempting to cure this guy's Tourette's
through ESP and EMA
and like talk
therapy.
And yeah, she says that she uses the talk method to cure his Tourette's.
And he has like a very severe case of Tourette's.
Yeah, severe Tourette's. It's not just like tiny tics. It's like very noticeable things.
Yeah. And basically what happens is they are able to cure his Tourette's.
Right.
And through this talk therapy approach, and he's not the only one. They had other people in this documentary showing that Keith Raniere and Nancy Salzman were able to cure Tourette's through this ESP approach, through what Nexium was offering. Just a side note, because I was really curious. I was like, was his Tourette's actually cured from? Like, I was like, super intrigued.
I'm curious and I want to know.
So I found this from a Vice reporter. Her name is Sarah Berman. She wrote a 2018 article entitled, I tried to make sense of the alleged sex cult Nexium's bizarre health claims, explained. And then she explains that ESP approach to Tourette's includes elements of hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, Scientology's Dianetics, and cognitive behavioral therapy. Vice notes that these therapeutic ESP methods have not been tested in a scientific, peer-reviewed setting. However, Mark Elliott, the guy with Tourette's, still advocates to this day for this therapy, even knowing Keith Raniere was convicted of these awful things. He's still advocating for this therapy. So,
well, okay, so that answers that question.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing is I wrote down, dude seems to be healed, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
but considering how many actors and actresses.
That's what I was thinking.
And like people that were
an actor.
There was a lot of like Hollywood stars and stuff like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not trying to say that the dude was acting. I'm just saying super sus.
Right.
So
It is sus for
I
sure.
would like to know more about that.
Right.
But so Mark and Sarah bring Hollywood into Nexium
Mhm.
because they are, you know, kind of like she was doing some films and he did a really big film. And, you know, they know some people.
Well,
they've networked and they know some people.
Yeah, and Raniere basically said we need to reach the motor of the world.
Right.
Which is like reaching out to these powerful people.
Yes. And I actually
get them involved.
made note of at one point Mark says to Keith that he thinks that if he could make a movie, it would be like the best way to like get their word out there. Because he already has some clout.
Right.
And he even says like there was a point in time when he could call any movie production and they would answer immediately.
Right.
So
at this time, we also learned the names Sarah and Claire Bronfman,
yes,
who are heiresses to the Seagram's empire, which is Seagram's liquor. We've all heard of, clearly. And so they have a lot of financial backing. And Sarah arranged for the Dalai Lama to go to Albany to endorse Nexium.
How the fuck?
And he does endorse Nexium.
How the fuck?
Okay, I don't want to talk shit on the Dalai Lama, but he's had some sus opinions about women.
Okay, sure. I'm not even talking about that. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
My real question is, what about Seagram's liquor says, I need to know the Dalai Lama. I need to have direct connection with the fucking Dalai Lama.
Money talks, baby.
For real.
So,
that's like the best. Yeah.
Then we see Allison Mack, who ends up being a huge player in this. She was an actress on the TV show Smallville. And she seems awful. She is
from the get-go
completely insufferable. Like, I can't.
Didn't like her on Smallville either.
She's just awful.
Didn't like Smallville at all, actually. So how about that, Allie Mack? Fuck you.
We'll get into a lot more Allie Mack as this all unfolds, but she just seems, every time you see her, Lauren and I were talking about, like, every time you see her looking at Keith, she's just like glazed over and smiling.
She's fangirling.
Like, she looks like somebody who's in a cult. Literally. Like, it's so gross. It's not even, you have too much life in your eyes.
I know, for real.
She's dead eye glazed. Like, she's just a creep. Okay. So Nexium builds this empire of all these different groups. XOSO, it's a yoga group.
SOP is for men.
A men's group.
Gymnasts, women's group.
They have a child care group.
Rainbow for kids and teach multiple languages from a young age.
Yeah. And then they eventually end up opening centers for Nexium all over the world.
Literally,
I mean, seriously,
Mexico has one.
Mexico has like 3.
Right.
There's like, these centers are everywhere. And they're just getting people in. Like, it's just like
gonna have to start protesting.
Just like Scientology. So then eventually Mark and Sarah open a center in Vancouver, and Bonnie and Mark get married. And
wait, hold on. In between there, I did write down a quote from Mark when they're opening up the center in Vancouver, where he says, because of Keith and because of Nancy, that they are standing on the shoulders of giants. Ugh. And I was like, what a fucking weird thing to say.
Vanguard.
Like, you are just so Vanguard. That they are.
It's the Vanguard's birthday.
Because of them, we are able to do. These people are so big and so beyond life that we are just like standing among them, and that's it. Like, oh my God.
So at the very end of episode 1, Bonnie begins to see NXIVM for what it is. Remember, Bonnie is Mark Vicente's wife, and that brings us into episode 2.
Oh, really? Because I was going to say Bonnie calls at the end of episode 1.
I know, but I feel like we should just do that in episode 2 because
okay,
it's continuing.
So, all right, that's fine.
So episode 2, Viscera. This is where we see more conversations between Mark and Bonnie. Go ahead.
Okay, so Bonnie calls Mark and she says, there are things I'm starting to see about the organization that are just not right. And she says that women aren't doing well. She says that they are looking like zombies and losing weight, and that some things are going to crumble. And Mark kind of just goes, no, you're wrong. Like there's a misunderstanding. There's something not happening right here. So Mark says, I had a long meeting with Keith. What's the matter? And Bonnie says, I'm taking a huge risk in my life by talking to you. And I'm going to say these not exactly verbatim, but I'm kind of making them shorter. But I want to give you like an idea of exactly what they say to each other, because this is very daunting in the very beginning. Then she says, there is no good way to leave. And he says, you have bad data going on. And she says, there's no way out. So we know that Bonnie and Mark are having a conversation about she's starting to feel uncomfortable. She's starting to feel like there's something that's not right about this. And she's explaining to her husband, who, mind you, is still very, very active.
Thick of it.
And he has been recruiting people left and right. He is the one that brought Sarah in, and he brought Bonnie in and everything. And
him and Keith are like boys.
And they're like best friends. And you have to remember that Bonnie was also going up the stripes, and she is very, very active in the center and the organization. And she's going, there's something wrong and there's no way to get out. And just by speaking to my husband on a private line, I'm risking my life.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Mind blown. That's insane.
So then she gets into her story about like how she joined. Obviously she joined through Mark, and she said like the first time she met Keith, she got like super creeper vibes. Like she was like, ew, something's a bit gross, I think is what she said.
Right.
And the thing that really like got to her was like, he kisses everyone on the lips. Keith Raniere kisses everyone on the lips. But she really enjoyed the 5-day training. And so she was kind of like moved to look past like all this creepiness, because she was like, okay, if Keith was the one who built this empire and these are all of his ideas, which I really like these ideas, then I'm going to look past like my initial judgments of Keith.
She says that the good outweighs the kissing thing. Another thing that she says that was very interesting to me was that she said that once you've broken the spell and see through it, you can't get back from there. And she says that if people are mean to you, you're unethical. If you think that you're part of a cult, you're unethical. If you feel like maybe you just need a break for a second, you're unethical. No matter what you say, you're going to be portrayed as being like completely like unhinged, and that you just are letting your fear rule your life, and you're no longer like, you're almost like a suppressive person.
Right, you're a
defector.
Like, you're going against the
She explains to her husband that she's having flashbacks and she doesn't understand the things that Keith does, and that now that she's like having time to like look over it, she's like, there's things that he does and things that he says that don't add up with the way that he's talking to everyone.
So one of the things that she talks about is she was told she could earn money once she got to like the Stripe Path EM1, but then they changed the game. So it was like, once she earned this, they told her like, once you get to the Stripe Path, you'll begin earning money. But then once she got there, they were like, oh, well, we had to move it, and it's like, you need this much more to do. And so now it's EM5 where you actually begin earning
right,
money.
when it was like EM1 first,
Yeah.
and now it's EM5. So she has to work her way. They're only getting, I think that they say that you're only getting like a step up like every 6 months. So you're talking about,
Well, yeah, because you have to pay
years.
for all these classes, and you have to
Right.
pay for all
you're
these
talking about
EMs.
years till you're going to start getting paid.
And so they just keep stringing them along with a promise of money. And she's going into like financial ruin over it. She's like working these side hustle jobs, like just to try to like survive, because she's paying for classes, she's paying for EMs, she's recruiting people, and she's still not making money.
Mhm.
So she's like going to pubs and like playing the guitar at night and like,
Well, she's working 23-hour days.
yeah.
And the thing is that like in that time she's talking about how like it's like wake up, drive to job number 1, do job number 1, have a meeting, go to your next job, do whatever, have a meeting. And she even says that at the end of the day she was still getting bad feedback, like you're taking too much leisure time, and she's working 23 hours a day, she's sleeping 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
Like,
and that goes back to that idea where they said in the beginning, like, uncomfortable is growth.
right.
So push through the pain and discomfort to prove your character.
And
basically.
these people will literally like thank them and say,
Right, well,
thank you for pushing me to do this.
She said
and be
she
a better
felt like
person."
it was tough love. And then Bonnie started noticing all these red flags with Allison Mack. She noticed that Allison was suddenly obsessed with her weight. And the coaches told them they need to work through their feelings of intuition. You need to overcome it. They want you to ignore your gut feelings. That is, they think, the world controlling you. If you listen to your gut, if you listen to your intuition, that's the world controlling you. You need to overcome it. You need to be a better person than that and overcome that. So then she says, like, she partook in these things called emotion stretching, where it was opening up your viscera, which is like everything inside of you, opening up and expanding it into joy. And then they would have you feel like then they would say, okay, now go back into suffering. Like go back to the worst feeling of suffering you've
transitioning from
ever
different
felt.
emotions.
And then go back to feeling joy and experience that. And then go back to feeling suffering. And then go back to feeling joy. And then go back to feeling suffering. And it's super fucking creepy. And Bonnie was like, it was a super powerful experience being able to like know that you're that much in control of like your own emotions. But I'm like, that is like classic brainwashing behavior. That is so creepy.
And she also says it's a tactic to get you to ignore your gut feeling.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it goes back to, is like ignoring your gut. And
ignoring your gut is
and
the craziest
immediately
shit.
off the bat, she was like, I have a bad gut feeling about this dude. So it's like, I don't know, listen to your gut, people.
Right.
And
at that point, Bonnie goes back to Mark and says that Allie is desperate for Keith's affection. And Mark says that there's a misunderstanding and it just doesn't make any sense to him.
Yeah.
So she is constantly trying to tell Mark there's something wrong. Yeah. There's something wrong. And he is just pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back.
Okay. So, yeah. So that's what I wrote, was like, Bonnie is trying to get him to see these things. She keeps having these conversations with him, like something's off, something's wrong. I guess she was sending him like all these books on cults and like sending him like articles on cults and like trying to like open up his eyes. But every time she made any kind of headway with him, he would have a conversation with Keith, and then he would be
starting back over,
immediately sucked back in to all of their bullshit that they were pushing.
Well, Bonnie actually ends up meeting with Keith.
Yeah, this is
and
good.
he asks about that I can't remember what they were called.
The singing group that she's
their little
in.
choir that they're part of. And he says, I understand that they didn't perform because there was something wrong with you. And she explains that she was having blood sugar issues and that she felt like she was going to pass out. And he says, and that will happen sometimes.
Yes.
And then he says, don't you want to be free? Don't you want to experience life without control? Yeah. And he asks about her being enslaved. And she says, I do feel enslaved. I'm feeling enslaved. And then he says, feeling enslaved is a good first step.
Yeah.
Which I was like, how, like the foreshadowing that is happening here.
Yeah, right.
Where he is saying feeling enslaved is the way, it's like a good step for you.
But what's interesting is he knows exactly what he's doing because he's already inserting that terminology into these conversations with these women, where so when they hear it later, it's not so appalling and it's not so shocking. It's like, oh, well, Keith said that before. Like, it's not, you know what I mean?
It's not so, and the way that he says it the first time, where it's like kind of just like a nonchalant, if you hear it, like you're saying, if you hear it more and more, then it becomes less and less of like a shock value, and you're more apt to just feed into it.
Yeah.
So it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So at this point, she decides to leave the cult. Before she left, she confronted Allison Mack and said, I think you're sick. You're not eating. And Allison Mack says to her, Keith is measuring my calories, and as long as I have my period, I'm fine. And she says, I made a vow to Keith. And then she shows Bonnie, she wears a chain around her stomach to symbolize this vow that she made to
Reminds
Keith.
me of Star Wars.
Yeah, right.
Jabba
like Jabba the Hutt. Yeah, right.
Jabba the Hutt literally has Princess Leia with a chain around her tummy. Okay. How about that?
So Bonnie reached out to someone who knew things about cults, and this person said, you're in a high control group.
I did try to look up some stuff about high control groups.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that I found was pertaining to the vow, and that there's a lot of difference in opinions about what high control group means. So
this particular high control group was being controlled through sleep deprivation, financial exploitation, regulation of food, and drink.
All of it.
So Bonnie calls Keith Raniere, and she calls his ass out. And he goes, there's a reason you never worked out. You want to be the victim.
Yep, you have a commitment to being a victim.
And basically people in NXIVM stop speaking to her at that point. She's like the suppressive person.
She's suppressive. It's definitely very, very Scientology. Yeah. If anybody knows anything about Scientology, I most definitely do. If you know anything about Scientology, this is all the same terminology, the same shit, suppressive people, all of that shit. It is all the same idea. The bridge in Scientology is the same as the straight path.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. You take classes that you pay for.
Yeah.
They change stuff constantly, so no one can ever really progress, and you have to pay more money to getting to that point.
Yeah.
It's just, that's all Scientology. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Gotta go on a little tangent.
No, I like
Scientologists.
Well, yeah, but I like that. I mean, there are those obvious like connections in here, and it's crazy because it's like he read the playbook of L. Ron Hubbard.
The thing is that these people are very smart. So people are like, how did you fall for this? And it's easier than you think.
I guess so.
I guess.
Because
it's gotta be, because these are all very intelligent people.
You can't self-help me.
I won't.
Like, I won't even buy like stuff from the Boy Scouts. Like, I am like, no.
Those damn Girl Scouts and their cookies.
I'm so cheap.
Damn it.
I will not.
I'm
so cheap. Like, fuck.
It's not even like I refuse to.
No, I don't have money.
Organization.
Like, you be giving me money.
Like, I can't eat your fucking cookies, bro.
Like, literally, bro. You know what's cheaper?
Oh my God.
Toll House break apart cookies.
$2.
$2, man.
Got that shit. They have a Thin Mint option.
You're charging me $15 a box of fucking Girl Scout cookies? Are you fucking kidding me?
$5 for a sleeve of fucking tag-alongs.
God damn it.
No.
Tag-alongs.
You'll never do this to me again.
God damn it.
They're not even my favorite.
They're the worst.
Why did I say tag-along?
I know, right? Like you listed the worst cookie possible.
Because nobody but people pay $6 a fucking box for them.
Samoas, bitch.
No, not Samoas. The fucking
or now they're called Caramel Delights.
Trifle.
Trifles?
Trifle. What are they called?
Trefoils?
Trefoils?
What?
They're like the shortbread ones.
Ew, gross.
Oh my God. And then they
shortbread.
Shut the fuck up.
Are you?
They have another
kidding
one
me?
that's like shortbread with cranberry and white chocolate.
Are we even
The pecan.
related?
Okay, we're good.
I can't even with you.
No, we are related actually. So
okay. So, anyways, Nexium sends Bonnie a bunch of documents, and they want her to sign these documents stating that she has no ethical issues with ESP, and they want her to give an exit interview, and she declines because she's like, well, yeah, because if I do this, that means that I can't speak out against you.
Right.
So no, fuck you.
So
because
no, I'm not
I have a
signing
problem
that.
with this, so I'm not signing
And
your
I
bullshit.
can still leave because I don't have to be part of your fucking organization.
God, Bonnie's a badass.
I don't have to sign your
I love
shit.
Bonnie.
She's like, I decline.
I know. She was like,
and I was like,
Mark
girl,
was like,
yeah.
Mark Vicente was like, well, what are you gonna do? She was like, every time they call me, I'll say I decline.
Say
I don't
no.
care.
I'm gonna say no. I'm not signing that shit. Fuck you.
So she says to Mark, which I thought was pretty powerful, your friends in your corner are the ones doing this. Just so you know.
Yep.
Yes, Bonnie.
Badass Bonnie. We love her.
So then we flash to 2004, and now we get part of Mark Vicente's story. So Keith Raniere is basically his mentor. And we see Mark at like a TED Talk where he equates bravery to pain. Once again, overcoming your emotions, overcoming the pain, suffering is good. Yeah, you don't grow unless you suffer. Then more of Keith talking about pain, and Mark uproots his life to go live near Keith in Albany.
Which is wild.
Yeah, that is wild. So then Mark was explaining from midnight to 7 a.m. they basically have volleyball every night.
7 hours.
Why in the middle of the fucking night?
Why are they doing that?
What the fuck is
when
that?
I saw that, I was like, hold up. And I like rewound it 3 times to hear them say midnight to 7 a.m.
Why?
I was like, that's a hard no from me, dog.
That's a pass.
That's like literally when I sleep is from midnight to 7 a.m. Like, no. Hell no.
So at these volleyball games, Keith Raniere is basically treated like a fucking rock star. And
he's literally Jesus Christ superstar.
It's so weird. It's seriously bizarre.
Between games, they will sit there for like 20 to 30 minutes and people will ask him questions and he sits there and addresses
and he philosophizes about life.
He addresses his apostles and wants to tell them all everything that they need to know because apparently he knows everything about life.
And okay, can I just interject and also say that basically he has no original idea about anything. Like anything he says, you've heard before. Anything he says is not a unique concept or unique thought. It's all bullshit. That's why I'm like, how did these smart, educated people fall into this trap? Because he's not saying if I was sitting there, I'd be like, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
Dumb.
Like, seriously, there's no way. I'd be listening to this guy.
I literally wrote down
10 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. listening to his goddamn bullshit as he wears stretchy pants and knee pads and plays volleyball.
Headband.
And has a fucking
sweatband
and a fucking ponytail. There's no way.
I wrote down, people are like taking pictures with him and shit.
Yeah, no, they are. Like, they think
like
that,
literally.
like, he is fucking Justin Bieber on the fucking volleyball court.
He's Justin fucking Bieber.
He's Justin fucking Bieber. Who's Justice Bieber?
You said Bieber. That's what I call my vagina. Okay.
So Mark eventually starts documenting every aspect of Keith's life. Eventually he begins a program where he teaches people to shoot, record, edit, and transcribe.
And use boom mics.
And boom mics. Keith thinks that this is important to document everything for the future, for future generations to see how everything all started. And
like, the way that he like said that really freaked me out, because he was like, he would have people there writing down everything he says and categorizing it. What the fuck does that mean?
Britannica.
Like, yeah.
Britannica of Keith Raniere.
Yeah, Britannica.
Crananica.
What is that?
Crananica.
A Rananica.
A Rananica.
Keith Rananica.
A Keith Rananica. Okay, so
sorry.
He is
Encyclopedia Keith Ranatica. Okay, that was the last one, I promise.
He is so self-important.
Yeah.
Like, dude, can you imagine thinking like, I am so important, I need somebody to literally transcribe everything I say at all times.
And then categorize it. Like, here, hold on. File this under like dinosaurs and what happened to them. Just gotta make sure.
File this under dinosaurs.
And what happened to them. Yeah. That's the name of the podcast tonight. File this under dinosaurs. Okay. So Mark starts recording literally everything. And Keith wants it to be, they decide that they're gonna start doing like a documentary. And they come up with kind of like a story that it's like, it's a mixture between like a reenactment as also with like a documentary. So they come up with like an animated series that they want to do. And he wants it in 5 sections. He only tells us about 2 sections, but he wants it in 5 sections. The first part is to be about everyone like not believing them, and like kind of like the same way that they would be feeling about Scientology, where people kind of just go like, this is wrong or it's not real. And then he wants the second part to be like the movie, like a movie of like an EM happening. And it has something to do with like a guy who's down in his luck and lost in life, meeting a professor, like so somebody.
The guy who's down on the luck and lost at life mirrors Mark Vicente, and then the professor marries Keith Raniere.
Yes, it's very, very weird. It's but they basically want, and Mark says, I want it to be, it's like an EM only in a movie, and that's all I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah, he does say that.
So
and then he also says that Mark calls and talks to Keith every day for 7 years.
7 years.
So imagine the brainwashing going on in that. And like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm sorry, like I talk to you every single day of my life.
Literally every day.
But it's like,
since we were like 7.
But it's like,
or
here,
less.
watch this fucking stupid dog video. Like, what were they talking about?
Right.
Like, they weren't sending each other a stupid dog video.
A lot of times our conversations are like, check out this food I made. Or like,
bitch, I feel so fat.
Can you stop at the liquor store on your way here? Like, yeah, I can.
Can I borrow a hammer?
Do you have a level? I can borrow.
Can you
not level the MLM?
Can you hook up my dryer?
Can I hook up a dryer and a washing machine for you?
Those are our conversations.
This is literally what we talk about.
What's he having those conversations with Keith Raniere?
He's talking about how much like Jesus he is.
Did Keith Raniere need to borrow a hammer?
If he did, I'm like, this is really intense and you're never borrowing anything from me again.
So,
okay, yeah.
Bonnie questioned Keith, and Mark felt like whenever Bonnie questioned Keith, that Bonnie was questioning him because that's how close they were.
Right.
And so Keith and Mark's relationship is strained once Bonnie leaves. And then Bonnie finally asks Mark, like, what do you need to leave the group? Like, what do I need to prove to you?
Can I say what he says?
Yeah.
Data. I need science to prove I need to leave the group.
Although you say data, I say data. I say data.
I just said what he said. I thought he said
I know,
data.
He's South African, so
Data.
He says
like Star Trek.
Data.
Sada dun data. Data.
So she ends up finding an ex-Nexium group member to talk to Mark, and she reveals DOS to Mark.
She said that her friend had an experience with some other people, and there is a secret group of women, and you need collateral in order to hear about it. So how it's okay. This is the way that correct me if I'm wrong. So Lindsay and I are friends, right? And I go, ring, ring, ring. Hey, Lindsay, what's up? And she's like, hey, girl. And I go, hey, so actually, I know that you really love Nexium. We've been having a great time together in there, right? Right. We've been having a great time. So do you want to have like an even greater time?
Of course.
Okay, so there's like this thing going on called DOS.
Sign me up.
Well, here's the thing. I would, but I need the deed to your house.
No problem.
Cool. Can I also get some titty pics and like maybe a video of you saying that your husband beats your children?
Yeah, would it help if I talked more shit about my family?
Yeah, please send as much as you can. Click. We
Awesome.
literally, signed up. Perfect. That is like exactly what happened in real life.
But it does, though. That's the crazy part.
We're
all
not
those
joking.
things that we brought up literally happened. Okay. So,
oh my God.
This woman that Mark talks to says she's in the secret society for women. They give collateral to join the group. Collateral, the blackmail we were just talking about. And the woman says her coach is off. She's losing a lot of weight. And this woman saw some text on her coach's phone that said things like, I love you, my master.
Yes.
So Mark confronts Keith, and Keith denies.
He says that there is a group of girls and they're losing weight. He feels worried about them, that they look like zombies. And this is the best part. And the only reason why I even like stopped you to say this is that Keith says, oh, well, actually, there was a study done recently about people that see people and they look like zombies, but really they don't.
I could not believe this was, he goes, it's an implicit bias.
Nope, like that's not real.
It's an implicit bias that you see people that look like zombies. And Mark's like, okay, well,
I guess that's cool.
He's like, I'm not sure if I really believe you. And then Keith says, all those people that are telling you these things are defectors and they're damaged goods. And they have his friend Sarah call him. Oh, so Sarah Edmondson, remember from the beginning, she's still in the group. So Nexium sends Sarah to call Mark and kind of like pry for information because they have a feeling like
shit's about to come calling down.
Mark is starting to realize the bullshit, and Mark immediately picks up on it. And Mark's like, did somebody send you to talk to me? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. Am I being recorded? And she's like, yeah. Like, she doesn't lie to him because she has friends. They are best friends and they have like a loyalty together. Yeah. And so like
they have a connection.
Imagine like the awful like in between she felt. But anyways, Mark is like, I can't talk to you about this right now. And I really cannot believe that they're sending somebody to spy on me right now. And I feel like that kind of like really lends into like it being sealed for Mark, where
For
he's
sure.
like, I'm
And
done.
I
Like,
also
you're
feel,
sending someone in to spy
Yep.
on me now.
I think that was like solidifying
because
to him,
I
like,
questioned.
I wasn't really
Keith.
questioning it, but now I am
Yeah.
questioning it.
Right.
And the other thing that really kind of like put me in there was that he explains to Sarah, like, kind of like vaguely that there's something going on. And she goes, well, maybe I'm naive. And he goes, well,
Yeah, you
yeah,
are.
you are.
Yeah. I know.
Straight up. And
I know.
I think that
I was like, you sound like a condescending asshole, but at the same time,
I feel like that's
right.
the first time that she's ever experienced him
being like, you're
like,
wrong.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because you are. You honestly
You're
do
100%
not know.
right.
So
yeah, you're 100% right.
It definitely was like a weird situation for them.
Yeah.
So what I have next is that Mark calls Keith for the first time in 1 week.
Mhm.
And Keith says that he investigated into his claims and that there's about a group of like about 10 to 20 people, women only. And he says that he gave them permission to use his techniques, that he was aware that they were doing this, that they were using his techniques and tools. And Mark says that he thinks that Allie is in charge of them. Like she is running this entire thing.
Mhm.
Where Keith actually says, oh wait, hold on. Allie's in charge of them and Keith is the head of it.
Mhm.
And Keith says that he wants to know who is saying this.
Yeah.
Mark says he knows that Keith is involved and that these girls are all in love with him or are sleeping with him or have something to do with him, and that it will blow up in Keith's face. And he says, certainly, and Keith responds back, well, it certainly has blow up potential.
Yeah.
No shit, dude.
Yeah,
no shit. It has blow up potential. I mean, come the fuck on.
Yeah.
Obviously it does.
Mhm.
And nobody would say something like that if they thought that there was some non-truth behind it. Because if I was him and somebody said that to me and that was not true, I'd be like, bro, yeah, it might blow up, but I seriously have nothing to do with that. And let's do something to nip that in the bud right now.
Right.
And the fact that he's like, well, it just is what it is.
Yeah, he's like so lackadaisical
nonchalant
about it all.
Lackadaisical. That's the winner word. That's the
Thank
word of the day.
$5 word. Thank you.
For real.
Yeah. So he basically says, yes, I lent these women my technology, but I have no idea what the group is about. And I have nothing to do with it.
He says he has no clue.
And basically Mark calls his bullshit. After that, he resigns.
And his mom leaves like the best message.
Oh yeah. Like I was hoping you would wake up someday.
Yep, I was hoping you'd get out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you're done wasting your time on this shit. Like, please. And then she goes on to say, like, you're worth so much more and you have so much more going on in your life.
Yeah.
And Mark resigns officially.
So then he resigns, but he knows he has to tell his best friend Sarah.
Duh.
And they're having a conversation and he finds out that Sarah had been invited to Dawes. And then he's like, did you give collateral? And she's like, yeah. And he goes, have you been branded? And she says, yes. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. Okay, so it's called At Cause.
Yeah.
Which is to just kind of reiterate some things that we said already when we were talking about how, like, if you're the like how they make you believe that you're the reason why you feel however you feel, that's being called at cause.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
I think
basically
we get
the way
more
that
into that.
We do. It's basically the way that you react to
your
things.
Emotional response. So
go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. So the episode opens with Lauren Salzman and Sarah having a conversation on the phone. And it's basically Lauren Salzman, who's Nancy Salzman. Remember, Nancy Salzman's like the number 2 in the group. So it's her daughter, Lauren. And she's like, they're talking about like the origins of the group, and she's kind of like, it's like kind of like a sorority now, and it's all about women's empowerment. And after we saw Trump elected, we all kind of felt like we had to do something. And
my big note, like
Yeah.
in bold of this, was of course the worst bitch is named Lauren.
Oh God,
Like,
you're the worst.
why do I have to be the worst? Anyway, so yes, Lauren is the one that's like talking about all this stuff. She's basically like coercing people into staying.
Mhm.
She also is paid like 3 times more than anyone else.
Yeah, to do the EM.
To do the EM.
So like, remember those emotional, what were they called? Emotional, not memories.
Nope.
We're the worst.
EM. Emotional. Well, there's things.
Emotional mooses.
Mooses.
Emotional mooses.
Meese.
She was paid $375 to do an EM, and that was like 3 times the amount that anyone in the group was charging to do an EM. So she was really good at this. She was really good at like manipulating people.
Literally the
and
best.
Getting people. Yeah. And so then they're talking in episode 3, when they're talking at the very beginning, they talk about the brand very, very briefly, but Lauren is saying the brand shows that you chose self above fear, which again is one of those things that they've been brainwashed since the very beginning to choose. They can regulate their own emotions. They don't feel fear if they don't want to feel fear. They can choose themselves above anything else. So Sarah seemed not to realize, even though that she was branded, that this was really about having sex with Keith, which really blew my mind, because I'm like,
the first thing I thought.
I was like, how could you be so naive? Like,
I guess like in her situation though, because, and we talk about it later on too, is like,
yeah,
it's like she wasn't brought there for that.
yeah, I guess.
So because of that, like if you've never experienced that side of somebody, you've just seen them like flirt with somebody, you can always kind of like, especially if you're feeling like this is somebody that you wouldn't want to think that about, that like, oh, they're just being polite, or they're just being kind, or they're just being, like
right,
friendly and homely with them. And it's because we're such a family, and not so
Right.
much of like somebody being a fucking creeper, which was most definitely the case.
So Sarah expresses to Mark that she can't just quit because all of her income is tied up into Nexium and the center that she opened in Vancouver. Then she goes kind of over like the beginnings of the 12-point mission statement that she was given in those first 5 days of training. And one of them is like, why are you a victim to it? Change it. So again, we're seeing you have the power within yourself to change whatever situation you're in.
It's like you can make yourself feel like, it's, to me, like when I was watching it, I was like, they're trying to tell people that like the only thing you can control in life is the way you react to things, which
Yeah.
I've heard before, but they're trying to do it in like a much more extreme way where it's like, oh, somebody does something to me, like they murdered my family,
I should have no emotional
and I
response.
can just be completely in utter bliss,
Yeah.
because I am choosing to feel bliss, and instead of feeling remorse or victimization or whatever.
So next part of that 12-point mission statement was, you choose your emotional and behavioral responses, and this is called being at cause. And imagine what dickheads these people would be like to hang out with.
I bet you guys are great fun at parties.
I hate them all.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, they're the worst. I seriously hate them. I already went over all this stuff.
I know. I feel like I lost you.
Okay, so
keep going for a second, and
Barbara Boucher.
Barbara, okay.
Okay, so Barbara Boucher, she was a field trainer. She's the best at sales. She's the best salesperson in the group, and she kind of became like a mentor to Sarah.
I said that
she turned Sarah into the monster that she was. Like, she molded Sarah into the best salesperson within the group. So it makes it super hard for her to leave because she's so entrenched in the group, like on so many different levels. So
one of the key things that I wrote down was that they said, quote unquote, good manipulation. So they know that it's good manipulation, it's manipulation nonetheless. And that how valuable is their dream to like convincing people to join. So under Barbara, I had she's a top selling sales and sponsors Sarah moving up in the stripes, and we see Keith training Sarah and others in sales. And
this is what I want to talk about.
So we see Keith training them.
It is so gross.
Sorry, I had to like catch up with you, but we had like Keith is training them. And he's literally training them the way that like you would see like in an MLM, but even more extreme.
Who's here to have fun?
No,
hey, I don't hear anybody. Who's here to have fun? Woo! And I'm like, I'm watching this and literally throwing up in my mouth. This to me is like hell on earth. Like, I hate sales.
Same.
I can't do it. I don't have a sales bone in my body. The whole thought of it makes me fucking squirm. But then the thought that like Keith Raniere is training these people like with the exact same sales technique that he learned from like Amway, like on a whole new different group of people who are consumers. I'm like, that does not appeal to me. That does not appeal to me. I don't want that. Like, I'm the consumer that's scrolling through Facebook.
I find the cheapest
I like, and I'm like,
I check the reviews.
That's fucking cute. I want to do it. But like, if I had somebody that was like, who's here to have fun, I would be like,
not
get
me.
the fuck out of my face.
I
hate
me.
Everything about you. You are the worst. Are you kidding me? Know your audience. Like, no way. I can't even believe.
You are so funny.
No, but I can't believe this is how they were like getting people into the call. Like, who's here to
But
have
that's
fun?
like the thing that happens with MLMs. Like I've been to, I've had people do like in a house party, like, oh, you know, pure romance, like, oh guys, here's the thing, right? But I've also been to a hotel suite where there's literally a lobby that they fill up with people. I was probably like 13.
What type of cult were you in?
No, I wasn't.
You're in a cult. Call your dad.
I'd call your dad. I literally like went to a thing with like one of my aunts or uncles or whatever. They invited us to it. We went to it and it was like in a like room in a fucking hotel where they were like, okay, what's going on, everybody? They had like music. And y'all ready for this? And I'm just like, I'm not ready for this, actually. Like, you think I have $200 or $300 or $400 in my pocket. I'm 13. I'm lucky if I have $20 on any given day. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not how this shit works. Dude. But I've been there. I know what that's like. And it's creepy. It's weird. It's weird. I'm sitting there going like, oh, you want me to pay money to start doing this thing with you that we're all going to be making all this money off of? And And if I sign up people underneath me, then I get money. And then if they
If
sign up
it-
people, I still get
If
money.
it sounds
Like,
too good to be true,
it
it's
sure
too
as fuck
good
is.
to be true.
Yeah, it sure as fuck is.
Fuck you.
Come on in, girl.
I can't even believe it. Okay. All right. So, yeah.
I said it's
like,
a goddamn MLM.
No, it is. And that's what Keith likes. And that's what Keith knows. Like, we saw he
has experience with that.
He has history with MLMs. So, of course, this is how he sets up his company. Like, of course, that's how he does it. So Sarah expresses to Mark in a conversation how hard it's for her to reconcile the fact she's so close to people in the group like Lauren Salzman, who is her best friend. And we see like Lauren Salzman was the officiant at her wedding. Lauren Salzman is the godmother of her son. Lauren Salzman is her best friend. And so I can imagine for Sarah how fucking hard that is to be like, no, fuck you, my best friend.
Yep.
I'm going to listen to my other best friend. Like, how do you reconcile that? I can imagine that's a very difficult, like, I'm not giving her any shit. Like, that has to be a super difficult position because you want to trust her, love her, believe her.
She kind of dabbles in telling Lauren about what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren says that if she thought anything was not right, she would have been gone already.
Right.
And so, okay, so she's like, well, that's, I get what you're saying. And then they kind of just cut to like Sarah meets a guy named Nippy, which I'm like, the fuck is that kind of name? And
it's a nickname.
But she talks about E-Week, which is where she met him.
Yeah.
And it's basically like an adult camp. And they also celebrate Keith's birthday during the same week.
It's Vanguard Week.
It's Vanguard Week, right. So they just are all out hanging out and dancing and swimming and doing all this stuff. It seems fun. It's very energetic. They're having a great time. And so she eventually marries Nippy, and they use the same vows as Mark and Bonnie that Keith wrote.
Yeah.
Keith wrote their vows. Yeah. So Sarah directly and indirectly enrolls over 2,000 people into NXIVM. So I was like, are these people all living together? Because it almost seems like a commune issue. But then they're also talking about moving.
But
and,
there are different groups that live together because I remember like Bonnie was saying that her and Allison Mack lived together with like
it was like Bonnie and Mark and then Sarah and then Allison
so they
Mack.
had like these little miniature communes like set up.
Right, that's what I thought. And I was like, is this a commune situation or is it just like people hanging out?
As we're learning about Sarah and Nippy, we're also hearing these conversations between Sarah and Lauren Salzman, and they're talking about DOS. And they're talking about the branding. And Lauren is like, yeah, I mean, the branding is out there stuff, but it all has an explanation about it.
Right.
Like it all has an explanation. It all makes sense. And so this further lets you kind of see into like the mind of Sarah, where she's like, okay, well, my best friend is saying like this is an exercise and this makes sense. And like, there was nothing to worry about. Like, this is, I trust Lauren implicitly. Right. I trust Lauren. So these conversations really just let you see inside like the inner workings of Sarah. So,
I say at one point that Nippy and Sarah, they moved to Vancouver, but he's not super happy.
Well, Sarah ends up opening the center in Vancouver with Mark Vicente.
He's not super happy. And so they start trying to suggest that he isn't happy because it's more quote unquote her thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like they want couples to get together and marry and everything, but then they like try and split the couples up. So there's like a separation there that like it seems like with every couple that like starts to like one of them starts to go the other way, they're like, well, you need to leave her.
I just
It's
feel
not
like
so much.
what I think that is I think that the cult ends up demanding so much time of one person that they can't possibly put any energy.
Well, that's what I
into
mean is like
any kind of
when one
relationship.
has any kind of doubt, they're like, you need to separate so that way, because they're obviously suppressive and like keep this, they'll keep one person over two or over zero. You know what I mean?
So after she opens this center in Vancouver, then we flash back to this conversation between her and Lauren, and Sarah's like, how the fuck do I explain this to Nippy? Like, and Lauren's like, this is a fun thing you did with your girlfriend.
Well,
and
Sarah,
this is for you.
Sarah
and
also,
they're talking about the branding.
Sarah also asked Lauren, or Lauren also asked Sarah for collateral, where she has video.
That comes later.
Okay, go ahead. Because that's not what I have. No, go ahead.
So Nippy, we learn, is a part of SOP, which is the Society of Protectors, and he's the leader of it, and it's a group for men, and that is an extremely outdated name. Then I said, dear Lord, this whole group sounds like hell. Sales and constant talk therapy. Blurf. So then we learn DOS.
Okay.
Then we learn about the expression DOS. DOS means dominant over submissive. Lauren gets Sarah in on the premise that this group is what she needs to be strong. But she needs to give collateral. Enter Lauren.
So the collateral that Sarah gives to Lauren is, among other things, videotapes of Sarah saying that her husband beats their son, that videos of and pictures of her breasts and other private parts, and other things like talking about like her personal life just in general, and how that like affects everything. And it's basically described to her as a vow of obedience and lifetime commitment. Within DOS, there are sisters, slaves, masters, and grandmasters. And how it works is that each pod is like a group of girls. That's a pod. And those are all sisters. So all the girls below them are slaves, and the girls that are sisters are masters. And when the slaves below them have slaves below them, then they become grandmasters, like grandparents.
It's like
only
a
grandmasters
pyramid scheme of a sex cult.
With people being, like
trafficked.
Right. And it's like, I have, so if I'm the head, I'm the master, and she's my slave, then she could have somebody else below her, and that would be her slave, and she would be a master, and I would be a grandmaster, and you would invite, so on and so on for however long that lasts. And these people are asked to do things like a slave would have to do, like household chores, come and massage their feet, just do random things that quote unquote need to be done.
Something really interesting that wasn't in the documentary that I looked up, because Lauren Salzman is going to jail, but she had a slave locked in the closet for 2 years.
2 years? At first when you said 2, I was like 2 days. Okay.
No, 2 years.
2 weeks, maybe 2 months.
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
Fucked.
So
totally fucked.
She's an awful human being.
So the more collateral that is given means the more that you solidify your agreement and your enrollment in this vow and this pact.
And I also want to just throw in there that the word collateral was also lingo that they used in NXIVM outside of DOS. So the word collateral is a part of ESP, and basically it means your word is your bond. And so when you are asked to be in DOS and you're asked to give collateral, again, it's like that desensitization of that word because you've already heard it used in Nexium.
It's already been happening.
So it's not scary
because not this weird
it's already
thing.
right. You've already been asked for collateral before.
That you've been totally fine with giving up before.
Right. So it's like they've been dropping that lingo since day one. And then when they finally enter you into like this super secret society, like you're not going to be put off by this term because you've heard it before.
Right. So Sarah gives up nude photos. She must ask to sleep, eat, how many calories she can have, and call the person above her master. Lauren asked Sarah to go to Albany for an initiation ceremony. And obviously Sarah says yes, because it's not even a question. It's like, you're going.
Yeah.
So, and then Sarah makes a comment saying that Lauren loses 20 pounds in 6 weeks, which all of us know that that's not safe at all.
But first of all, she's already a tiny woman.
Right.
So when she
none of these girls are big.
When she loses 20 pounds in 6 weeks, she's down to 103 pounds.
All of these girls, I would say, are like 120 and under.
Sickly looking at that
starting
point. Yeah, she's starving. They're starving because they're all on 500 calories or less a day. And then working out extreme amounts of time. Yeah.
So Sarah's put into a room.
So, well, also just to add on to that. So,
sure.
So Lauren tells Sarah, like, we're going to get this tattoo, all of us sisters together. We're going to get this tattoo and it's going to be of the 4 elements. And Lauren's like super excited about it. Like, this is sisterhood. We're so excited. We're going to get this tattoo all together, blah, blah, blah. And so Lauren instructs her and the other girls once they get there to take off their clothes and put on a blindfold and sit in a room. Then they take off their blindfolds and Sarah basically realizes she knows all of these women.
She's in a room with 4 other women that she is very close with.
Yeah. And so Sarah kind of explains it like she was like covering up her boobs and like, oh, hey,
this is awkward.
It's weird as fuck. Yeah,
if I was in the same room with you with nothing at all. I mean, you're my cousin, so I probably wouldn't be like super weirded out.
So many times.
I wouldn't be weirded out about that. But if it was like a random person,
well, not random, but even just like an acquaintance, like a woman you work with,
a friend of mine who, I see all the time, but I've never experienced any kind of weird nakedness. Then. Yeah, it would be awkward.
Then they are instructed to put the blindfolds on again and they're put into a car and they're driven to a secret location. But Sarah reveals that she looks under her blindfold and she sees that they're at Allison and Mack's house. So this is all taking part at Allison and Mack's house. This is where the branding ceremony happens.
Right, and I said they were told that it would be a tattoo.
Yep.
About the elements, including a mountain and water, and like other elements. So like water, like land, mountain, or maybe it was cloud, air, cloud.
I don't know.
Something.
Whatever.
It was mountains.
Some bullshit. It was a lie. It was
and
a lie.
Water, and then I think maybe clouds or something like that.
So anyway, so Sarah describes this as like a awful, brutal experience. So basically they're holding women down as they're slowly branding them. Like, it's not like how we think of like a cow cattle like branding where it's like one quick poke on the butt. It's like
it wasn't like an iron rod already
made on like cauterizing an entire like design in these women that took up to 30 minutes of women screaming and crying. They had to be held down. It was brutal, a brutal.
She said that people were definitely not okay.
No, they were not okay. And she said that she was like green.
They say to her,
Lauren says to her.
Yep, Lauren says to her, they are green and you need
You
to
need to
teach them how to do this.
right.
So they're basically saying that these people have never experienced. So I think that this is what you were saying when they say that they're green, is that they have never experienced having to like portray their emotions however they see fit and transitioning between those emotions. So she lays back and she starts to go through the cauterization, and she goes to a place of utter love.
She goes
and
into
bliss,
a
and she thinks-
dissociative state.
She thinks of her son and she disassociates with everything that's
Which
happening.
actually we will learn a little bit later, but when you're experiencing like these long periods of pain, it actually does cause your brain to go into a dissociative state because you just can't deal with
Right.
like your brain cannot handle it. So she goes into like this dissociative state. She does not like make any noises, like she's just like
They say she was completely
zombie
silent.
mode, whatever, and she gets out of it, and they think like, oh, she's so empowered. Like,
Well, even Lauren and Sarah are talking to each other, and they're talking about how beautiful that
Yeah.
moment was between them, that they were
and
they were
Sarah
together.
does say like, I did feel empowered. Like I felt like my husband couldn't do this. Like I could do this. Like
Yeah, she says,
Yeah, like-
I'm so strong. You could have never gone through
like
this.
it's like being on like Fear Factor.
Right.
Like I can do that. And like, you know,
Torture
it's like,
yourself.
yeah, like I can torture myself. Like that's not okay.
And Lauren
That's not fucking
eventually
okay.
messages her, don't forget your monthly collaterals due on Thursday.
Yeah, and she's like, what the fuck? What do you mean by monthly collateral?
Yeah.
And Lauren's like, oh yeah, by the way, you always have to be providing me with collateral. Like the first collateral you provided was great, but every month you need
It's
to
not even
provide
the
something
first.
new.
It's like always there is something that she needs to do, like the collateral for just finding out about it, the collateral for getting involved with it, the collateral which is her own
Yeah.
fucking body
Yeah.
for getting really involved with it, and then the collateral to her fucking home, the deed to her home.
So
Crazy.
then Lauren says, you can provide me something like the deed to your home, and you can get it notarized.
Nope.
You
Hard
can,
no, bro. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
yeah.
And she pushes for the enrollment and recruitment of multiple other people, including people
Skinny,
that
pretty
she has
women.
found on
Yeah.
the Vancouver
Yeah.
site,
Yeah.
being like, what about this girl?
Yeah.
She's skinny, she's
She's pretty.
she's smart,
Yeah.
whatever.
So
the
why
case.
don't we recruit them? Oh, so fucked up. So then the next thing, Mark theorizes that Allison Mack is at the top of the master slave scheme.
But they also find out
That
about the
he
symbol.
is at the very top. Yeah, that's it. So you want to talk about the symbol?
So the symbol and the brand, and we'll actually post it on our Facebook just so everybody is aware, and on our Instagram, a picture of the symbol along with how they are actually noticed. But the symbol, the brand shows Allie's initials as well as Keith Raniere's.
So the brand would remember it was supposed to be the 4 elements. But when you look at it on the,
there's one on the
if
side.
you look at it
it's
straight
Keith
on, it's
Raniere.
AM. And then if you look at it on the side, it's KR.
So it's
So
Allison
Allison-
Mack and
Keith
Keith
Raniere.
Raniere. And that's how she starts to realize that this is more than just some elements about, the earth, wind.
Yeah, and
fire,
she
you know?
doesn't like fully freak out until she realizes like I have their fucking initials branded on me, and that's when she like
She straight up asks Lauren.
loses it.
Sarah asks Lauren straight up if Keith is involved with DOS and does he know about the branding. Lauren says Keith is involved with DOS in the essence that they asked if they could use the technology and tools that he provides, and that he was aware of the branding, but he did not initiate
He didn't come up with the brand.
He didn't come up with the brand or initiate the idea that they were going to do it.
Then Nippy finds out this all happened, which is Sarah's husband, And then we see Sarah closes the Albany Center, and that's where we pick up on episode 4. Should we get through episode 4 tonight, or should we leave?
You know what? Episode 4 is
So short. Let's
Let's
get through
just
it.
do it. We're gonna get through episode 4, and then next week we'll get through 5 through 7.
Okay.
And because there's a lot more that happens in that, episode 4 is a little bit short. And I think next week we'll also do just like a recap really quick of 90 Day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe, possibly, we'll let you know.
Okay. So episode 4, it opens with Sarah. It's like this super dramatic scene where she's recording herself going to the Vancouver Center, and she's like handing over the keys, and she's like, I'm done. I am washing my hands clean of this. There's human trafficking going on. There's all these horrible things going on. Like, you need to get out. Do not enroll any more people. Do not enroll any more people. And I know you're all going to go back to Keith and Lauren and tell them that I said this, but I don't care at this point.
Do it.
I'm fucking done. Like, I'm fucking done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the things that I have down is that Lauren and Sarah talk again, and Sarah asked if she deleted the photos and videos that Lauren had. And Sarah says no, because she violated a sacred vow by disclosing the info to Nippy. And Lauren says, she goes on to say that Lauren says that Sarah promised that she would hold her relationship with Lauren above Nippy and her relationship. And Sarah says, this is an exercise. This is not real. You are not my master, and I am not your slave. And Lauren just says, okay.
So, yeah, and I think that's important to talk about is that, like, Sarah was looking at this as like a metaphorical exercise.
Right.
And
how
Lauren
anyone would
and
say
Allison Mack and Keith Raniere were treating this as
you
are my slave.
You're my slave.
Literally.
And I say whatever and you do whatever.
And so I can kind of see then when she kind of explains it, like I was thinking of this as like a metaphorical exercise. Like
because
I have to be
why
accountable
wouldn't
to somebody.
you?
Because who is an actual slave for the rest of their life?
No,
like,
nobody would sign up.
Nobody
for
would
that.
sign up for
Willingly.
that. Right.
No.
Like nobody's gonna sign up for that.
Even people who are into like slave dom situations do not sign up for that for the rest of their lives, no matter the circumstance. Like there's shit.
Right. You still have the option to walk the
you
fuck
can walk
away.
Right. And also Lauren tells people that Sarah's unhinged.
Yeah.
And Sarah's like, listen, don't fuck with me and I won't fuck with you.
Yeah.
And yes, fuck yes, Sarah,
girl.
baby, we love you so much. And Sarah finally resigns, like she said, and she goes in and says, like, this is fucked. Don't get people involved. This is super fucked up. It's not
unethical.
Okay.
It's human trafficking.
Exactly. It's human trafficking.
Yeah.
This is illegal. Go ahead.
So then we kind of see that like how all like Mark Vicente, Bonnie, Sarah Edmondson, her husband Nippy, how they're dealing with the repercussions is they're like, we feel really like we don't know how to deal with the fact that we got people into this ourselves.
Right.
So now our main mission in life is to get people the fuck out. And one of the people that they were super close with that they want to get the fuck out was India Oxenberg, who is the daughter of Catherine Oxenberg, who is an actress on Dynasty. And this story has been in People. It's been, there's documentaries of it on Lifetime. Like there's like, you've probably seen this story when we're talking about NXIVM. This is the big celebrity that tried to get her daughter out. And so they reach out to Catherine Oxenberg, and Bonnie is like, I was really close with your daughter, India, and I'm letting you know that I see things that are very concerning, and we need to get her out. And so basically they shift to now we're getting people out and we're going to get India out. And they've recruited Catherine in this process because Catherine does have some sway of Hollywood. Catherine also has ties to royal families. So she has financial backing and she has, some Hollywood clout, even though us millennials don't know her because we didn't watch Dynasty.
Exactly.
But whatever.
Whoops.
But anyways,
My bad.
basically what we learn about India's story is it's the same old song and dance that any of them went through. Like, she was sucked in on the 5-day training. She met a bunch of good girlfriends through being a part of it all. She what else did she do? Oh, she made a really funny video that was like, yes, my mother is part of Hollywood royalty. My father is, he's a part of royalty, and so is my grandmother. But they have so many stigmas against us rich people. But I want to do something good for the world. And I'm like, oh, you poor, sad, rich girl.
How terrible it is to be rich your entire life.
Like, give me a fucking break. Like, not that I'm saying that you should be involved in a cult and being like taken, but I'm like, when she's in the cult and she's saying these things, I'm like, yeah, honey. Like, oh, we feel so bad for you and your fucking your search for purpose. And this was actually, okay, this is a good segue, because as I was watching this, I was like, she's talking about how she doesn't have like purpose in life and like how she wants to like help the world and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what's really funny is that this group has done nothing to help the world. Like, literally
nothing.
Like, nothing. Like,
literally nothing.
They're not donating to Detroit, like, public education. They're not helping Flint with their lead pipes. They're not, like, donating to starving children across the world. They're not helping the poverty gap. They're literally doing nothing. It's all fucking self-soothing fucking bullshit. Like, you think you want to know about suffering, motherfucker? Like, give me a break. I will tell you about suffering. It's not that. It's not that. It's not about if you should be an actress or not. That's not suffering. I don't care. Like, that is some self-entitled bullshit. Like, let's talk about real issues. I can't even. But like, that is what made me realize it. Is like when I was like, when she was like, I am looking for purpose in my life and all of this stuff. And I was like, where did you find the purpose in fucking Nexium?
Right.
Where were they helping people?
Where was the purpose?
Where were they helping people?
Where the purpose?
Where were they? Were they helping the planet? Were they helping to get people to vote? Were they helping to do literally anything?
Nope.
Anything. They were not helping. So, a bunch of bullshit. Sorry, India, you're full of shit. But anyways,
fuck you, India.
Sorry, don't fuck. We're glad you made it. We're glad you made it out of a cult. Please reassess your beliefs.
Well, if she made it out, then I think that she has reassessed her beliefs.
I
would assume
certainly hope so, because her beliefs were extremely.
So I'm not trying to say her now. I'm saying
no.
At this point,
at that point, I was like, when you're watching that, it's like nauseating.
Fuck you, but then it's like.
But it's not only her. It was Allison Mack.
It's the way that she was being trained by these people.
Well,
literally,
it was any of them.
It
was all of them.
It's
like
all of them.
I'm looking for purpose. What's my purpose?
Sure.
Go feed the fucking homeless. That's your purpose.
Save the
you're
whales.
Not doing that. You're not doing that. You're literally sitting there thinking about like, oh,
I'm so rich. And I just feel like I'm so privileged that I need to like
where's
be
my
less
purpose? Like, I hate you. All
I
of
need to be
you.
less privileged than
You
I
are
am
all
now.
the fucking worst of the worst. So, anyways, God, I don't even want to continue this because I hate them. But anyways,
Lord.
so then we see this anonymous girl. Her name is Jane. She doesn't want to be filmed. She doesn't want her voice to be filled out, or they change her voice. And basically, we come to find out she has the exact same story as everybody else. Like the way she gets in, the way that Keith.
She gives up collateral.
Yeah, she gives
She has
collateral.
these failure reports, which they don't get into super detail about until this.
Yeah.
But the failure reports are basically just like you didn't wake up on time, or
You
you ate
much
too many
food.
calories, or you didn't ask permission to eat food, or you lied about eating food.
Yeah, so
or
each
whatever.
day you had to fill out like a failure report of where you failed during the day.
Right.
And then also,
and then she has to pay penance.
Yeah, yes, which is so Catholic.
And it's consequences for failure.
Yeah.
And so things such as fasting or self-inflicted punishment.
So that's what she had to do if she failed through the day. The next day, she would have to fast the whole day, or she would have to exercise like for obscene amounts of times or whatever. Also,
so another thing that they mentioned is that accepting a master means that you submit to everything for the rest of your life. And Allison says that Jane is conceited, and that she is submitting to fear when she expresses like
any kind of doubt.
Yeah, kind of doubt into this entire thing that happened. So Jane obviously is our anonymous person that she's submitting to fear. And that India texts her mom and says she hasn't been having her period for a year, and that her hair is falling out. And her doctor says that she has the uterine wall like lining
of a 40-year-old,
and that she seriously is in
she needs
risk of not being able to have children, and she needs serious psychiatric help.
Yeah.
And
so we're just seeing like how far this all progresses with these girls, and it's terrifying. And like you see some like text messages like between Jane and her master Rachel, and it's like, can I eat this? Can I wake up on this time, or can I go to bed? Can I do this? And then like,
can I go to sleep at all? Which is
then when Rachel like texts her some things and she doesn't like respond immediately, Rachel's like, that's a problem.
This is a problem.
Right. We need to work on that you don't respond immediately to me. So it's like an all-consuming craziness. And at this time, Jane also starts having sex with Keith Raniere. And she's having sex with him like in a library, I guess he has like a little library trailer set up or something like that.
Something that resembles a library.
He has like, it's like a library, but he has like a loft upstairs. Right. And that's where they have sex. And afterwards she would say like, I feel super nauseated. I don't feel good. And he would be like, that's just because I'm like transmitting a lot of energy to
people
you.
Are really sensitive about energy, and I'm giving you a lot of energy.
So gross. Okay. So fast forward to Allison Mack meeting Keith at a volleyball
so gross
game.
So this is like the first time that they've met each other. Obviously, we know that they've met each other before.
This was back in 2006. This is like
the first time they've met each other.
So Allison Mack first comes to meet Keith, and it's at one of those volleyball tournaments that are held late at night, and it's super fucking awkward. And they're flirting, and it's so gross.
You watch the entire thing, like she's very okay. So she's going to talk about the rest of this, and I'm going to look at her the way that Allison looks at him.
So Allison is like, I'm so much of who I am is wrapped up in art. And then she starts crying, and he's like, why does that make you an emotional? And she's like, I don't know. I guess it's because I've never thought about it that way before. And I'm like, how self-important
How?
and stupid are you? I hate you.
We've been doing art forever and ever and ever.
Right, like,
and
dude,
it's
Van
just-
Gogh cut off his fucking ear and he didn't fucking cry about it. Give me a break, bitch. So,
Okay, yeah, you're right.
and then she gets up and she's like, do you DM me? And she's like, I'm not saying right now, but maybe at like some point in the future.
Just like sometime?
And he's like, I don't know, that's not really something
I don't really
do.
am
And she
in
goes,
people because I've never done it before.
right, I don't know anything about EMs. And
I've
then
never done it.
And then she goes, I'm just saying, I don't really know. I'm just popping my cherry. And he goes,
I'm turning red a little.
I'm turning red a little. And then they get up and he goes,
She goes, so to speak.
he goes, can I give you a hug? And she goes, I hug and I kiss. And they hug and they kiss. And then he goes, cute voice. And she goes, you too. And I go, ugh.
Like literally gagging ensues from here on out. Can't. I'm like a little tiny child baby kitten.
But what's bizarre is like, okay, this first reaction is like, whoa. But then like we've talked about, like, anytime you see her after that, she's just like glazed eyes and like smiling at Keith.
All
and
the
like
time.
she is totally wrapped up into whatever bullshit he's giving. Like it's disgusting though. Like what? Like why? What is he offering you as a young actress? What is he offering you?
Right. What is the thing that's happening?
I don't fucking get it. So then I wrote, how many fucking problems can these people have that they need 24/7 self-help bullshit?
I said, you can see that Keith sees someone believing him and just continues and continues.
But like what my question is like, do you need that much self-help? Where it's like 24 fucking 7 where this bullshit happens. Like it's like ridiculous. So then we find out about Jeunesse, which is the women's group, which sounds like an 80s Hairspray. Or maybe like a weird cologne. Jeunesse.
It's like Nautica, the next cologne from Nautica.
Jeunesse, do you want to get a sexy man? Jeunesse.
Do you want to get a sexy man?
I don't know.
No,
I
just been like,
do you want to?
Do you want to?
Jeunesse. Yeah, that would be great.
That's it. Jeunesse.
Do you want to?
From here, it's just Jeunesse. Like,
and then you have to drag out the S, like that. It has to be like the
It's
gay,
like
the gay snake.
Have you ever?
Did you ever see?
Jeunesse.
Did you ever see Zach Galifianakis stand up?
Oh,
where he's like,
yes.
Where he goes, here's my impersonation of a gay snake. The best joke of all time. But it would be like, Jeunesse.
Have you ever? Jeunesse.
Have you ever felt like Jeunesse?
All right. Go
Too much Jeunesse. Okay.
Sorry.
So what we find out is Jeunesse is a women's group. And Pam Carthon?
Yes.
Is she was like one of Keith's life partners, and she met Keith on a skiing hill, and she just felt like there was something about Keith and basically dedicated her life to Keith. She ended up creating this group, Jeunesse, and basically it's a women's like total empowerment group. Whatever. And they basically documented her dying of cancer.
I know, that's really sad.
It's super sad.
I don't like it.
Super fucking sad. And then they have the reactions, and this is where Allison Mack does the classic reaction where she's talking about Pam and she wants to be sad and she's crying, but at the same time she's saying, I'll work on it. Like, she shouldn't be crying.
I don't know how to control my emotions.
Yeah, but I'll work on it. I will work on my emotions. And I'm like,
it's okay.
It's okay to grieve.
upset.
Like, that's what's so fucked up about this group is they're telling you it's not okay to feel
to be
anything,
or angry or sad or whatever the case
and
may be.
In some situations, I can see why it's okay not to react. Like, obviously, that's a good quality in situations where somebody is coming at you really hot and really angry, and you need to diffuse the situation. But you need to grieve.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to grieve.
Yep. I completely agree.
That's one of those ones that's gonna be okay. So, is there anything else that we have for this episode?
I don't really have anything more than that.
I don't have anything
like
more than
anything
that
else
either.
we have kind of leads into the next episode.
Yeah.
So I'm like purposely withholding it.
Yeah. So we're going to cover the next part of this episode next Friday.
5, 6, 7.
5, 6, 7.
Next episode.
Next Friday.
Trash Pandas, yes.
So if you haven't seen it, if it at all intrigues you to see it, watch it, or just listen to our funny recap, and we'll tell you everything about how much we hate Keith Raniere and how much Jeanette
and what next
like
documentary to watch.
Yeah, and what? Yeah. Ooh, we have some good documentaries in the future.
We do. And we're also going to actually recap very quickly 90 Day Fiancé. We think.
Yeah, we have to do that.
I feel like we just have to, just because waiting more than 2 weeks is a little bit excessive. So I think we're just going to do like a quick recap either way.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're going to go straight into finishing The Vow. And we will announce the next documentary that we are going to be watching. And Dave will be on the next one, God damn it.
Better be on the next one, God damn it.
It's called Documentary and Dave Night.
I promise I will.
We lost Dave. Dave's so pissed.
He's there. He's talking.
I will. I promise I will.
We love you, Dave.
So Documentary and Dave Fridays are like a real thing. We're actually going to do that. But tonight, we had to do it alone. It was a real thing for us. So
yeah, real thing. But also, I would like to say that if you enjoy us, please subscribe to our channel on Spotify.
Download our shit.
Go
onto our Patreon.
Oh God, we've not been doing shit.
We're doing it. We're doing it. If people go on there, then maybe we will.
We can show our Halloween party on
yeah. And we have a Halloween extra special episode coming up next week. We'll figure out how it's special and extra cool. We will.
Didn't know about it.
Well, I said we'll figure it out. How it's special and cool.
Surprise.
We'll figure it out. God damn it.
Kills me. All right.
Y'all better be part of it.
We love you all.
Thank you so much for coming on. We love you. Bye.